Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Fresh Off the Set. Thanks for listening. My name is David Osmond.
Yes, and I'm Carrie Hawker-Diaz.
And I'm Kami Stroop.
Thanks for joining me today, you guys. This is cool. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
With a good buddy of mine, Caleb Chapman, who's the founder and CEO of the Soundhouse, which has been around a long time, decades. And it's really a game changer for a lot of young musicians that are getting started in their careers, wanting to get the opportunity. And so he presents this chance for them to be able to actually get on stage and perform their craft with the best bands. He's got about 20 different groups. And they're all in those teen years, which are so informative, but you get with the best of the best
I've
players.
seen actually you and him and his crew perform, and you are all amazing.
Oh, thank you. We actually take it. We have all the alumni, the kids that have graduated this program at the Soundhouse, and we stack our bands and we pay them, a working wage as working musicians now that they are working musicians in our own big band together. So we have rosters of just incredible talent from drums, bass, keys, guitar to saxophone, trombone, trumpet, you name it. They're just awesome. But these kids get the chance to be able to showcase their talents. They're all between ages 10 and 18. And they develop real skills performing in front of thousands of people, places you can't get anywhere else, just by taking music lessons. It's way beyond that. So it's cool we get to talk about the community, how the impact it's had, some fun stories, mentorship, giving artists that stage to shine. It's really cool. And everyone kind of in their mind, I think, wants to be that rock star. You always dream of being on tour, what it would be like.
We all want to be like you, David.
No,
we all want to be like you.
No. I grew up around tour buses and TV studios for sure, but to see it from behind the scenes is a really cool thing. And then to see these kids get chances to perform with like Toto and Journey and just like the top people.
Yeah.
They were just with Huey Lewis the other night doing shows and stuff like that. But they get opportunities to be in different circles that they wouldn't get otherwise. So my thought for you guys was, if you could be a pop star, a rock star, a music artist, what would be your genre? What would you choose? And if you could choose a talent, like who's your dream artist to get on stage with, collaborate with?
Okay, before I answer mine, I have to say, well, how cool. It's just like listening to you talk about this whole Soundhouse. It's like you can't teach those things. And I think collectively together, they're all talented. And whether you were like, they learned it as a young age or they were just born with it, they're growing throughout all those years. And so this is just so cool. So I have to just say that really fast.
It changes lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really does. The stories are incredible. And they, again, chance to share the mics, the stage with incredible talent. Like, who would be your dream to perform with?
Oh, God.
Now, dream, now I'm, okay, I don't know if about a dream, but I think, maybe it could be a dream. It's going to sound super cliche, but I just remember Britney Spears as a young girl just being like, because I was a dancer and I love her. And I know she's been through so much, but to go back and see her at such a young age and have to go through all, music is really a hard industry to work in.
Oh my gosh.
And she was just amazing. And I just think it'd be so, like, I'm a slave. Like, I could already just see the snake and the whole thing. That'd be so cool if I did that. Okay.
I always wanted her abs. Her abs were always on my wall.
Yes, such a good looking chick.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah. Britney.
What about you, Carrie?
Honestly, probably Prince, because that's my favorite artist. I would want to perform Purple Rain on stage with him. I don't know what I'd do. I'd just be standing there because I have no talent like Prince whatsoever. But I think that would just be like a moment
What
in
an
time.
entertainer.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Consummate. There's so many incredible artists. Yeah.
What about you?
I've had a chance
You've
to
probably
honestly
performed
work
with a
with a lot of my heroes. I mean, to sing and perform with Stevie Wonder was a dream come
Oh my
true.
gosh, I bet.
With the Eagles was amazing. To do those kind of things are awesome. I would always wanted to sing with Harry Connick Jr. He was like,
He's
the
cool.
pinnacle.
That'd be
That
cool.
would be dope.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. Especially because we're kind of similar genre. I followed that same suit now.
Never too late.
Okay, I got to introduce Aerosmith one time. Okay, I didn't perform with him.
I actually got to sing with Steven
Oh,
Tyler.
okay,
Yes,
get
share
out of
this-
here, David.
No,
Get-
for real. I think I stole his mic, and he kind of gave me the side eye, like, "What do you do with my scarf mic? Give me that back."
Oh,
he was so kind.
He's
though.
amazing.
Yeah.
I would be my
Steven
second.
Tyler's
I almost
amazing.
said that because that was incredible
And,
to
and,
watch.
he, and he's just like the ultimate performer, and I
Yeah.
don't even know how old he's in his 70s or whatever, but
The
he
ultimate.
has like the tiniest, skinniest 12-year-old girl jeans he
Yes,
wears.
and those
It's just like,
hips.
how are you still like that?
And his
crazy
scarves.
fit?
He's got
And
cool style.
Singing and screaming, yeah.
Oh,
These guys
awesome.
were made for the stage.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And now these kids with the Soundhouse get that chance to live out their dreams, which is really cool. So take a listen to this. Caleb is a good buddy, and he's doing some awesome stuff. So if you're a musician, this one's for you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fresh Off the Set. My name is David Osmond, and I get to be joined today by a fantastic friend I've known for a very long time. In some regards, in the music world, my partner in crime in a lot of ways, but a music idol for so many, and has created. I know you wouldn't say that, but truly, your name is synonymous with great music, and I know you wouldn't ever pat yourself on the back, but my guest today is the incomparable Caleb Chapman, and he has a group, a program called the Soundhouse, the Caleb Chapman Soundhouse, and it's in Utah, but it's the most award-winning music program in the country. It's been around 27 years, and now, of course, you're doing awesome projects for kids to be able to get exposure, not just in learning their instruments and performing, whether you're singers or you're saxophonists, but getting a chance to get on stage and showcase your talent in venues that you normally wouldn't. So this is a cool opportunity. And full disclosure too, Caleb and I actually have our own band together, but he was in the house today as we were doing some TV shows, and I said, dude, can you sit down for just a few minutes? Let's tell our audience about who you are, what you're doing, and then even more importantly, I think, how you're perpetuating the music program here in Utah and across the country, because you have a new 501c3 charity that underwrites a lot of this music program for kids that may not be able to have the opportunity to do it. So welcome to Fresh Off the Set, Caleb. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much, David. It's great to see you, and always fun to hang out with you and talk about music. So.
Thank you, man. Well, you are the king of cool on this, and I really just appreciate you. But for our background, for our listeners who may not know who you are, give us a little bit of history, where you come from. I know you're from Boston, but how did you become who you are today in the music world? How did you start?
Well, I think my number one secret, and I'm hesitant to share this with everybody, but it all started when I began associating myself with you, David. And
yeah, right. Whatever. I thought there was this heartfelt answer.
This is heartfelt. Come on.
Yeah, it was very good. Thank you. I take all the credit, everybody.
Yes, you should.
Yes.
No, I did grow up just north of Boston, about an hour north in Derry, New Hampshire. And, this surprises a lot of people because, I spend obviously most of my time doing music, but I grew up not liking music, like not wanting to have any part of it.
Really?
I was actually very much into sports growing up, playing football, basketball, baseball. And
you're going to tell like Boston, it's kind of like comes with the territory.
It
right?
kind of does, yeah. So I'm very competitive. Shocker. And grew up loving that. And I really, as a child, the last thing I would have imagined is that I would have ended up doing music. But my mom, thankfully, really, ticked me off one year and sent me to the music camp instead of the soccer camp I was supposed to go to, and that really changed everything.
Why did she do that? Do you know the reasoning behind that?
I have no idea.
It happens to a lot of kids. Like they may get into a music program unbeknownst to what they didn't choose so, but the parents say you need to do this, right? Is it kind of a forced thing, or I think they're this age, we should probably get them into something?
Yeah, no, I think it was just my parents making sure I had exposure to a lot of different things, which, thankfully they're a whole lot smarter than 12-year-old boy. So no, it's so I went to this music camp and absolutely fell in love with it. I still have pursued athletics and sports. I still love doing that. But I fell in love with music. And as I continued, my pursuits as a saxophonist, I decided I wanted to study it in college and clipped an article that my dad had found about this instructor at BYU, Ray Smith.
Oh, I know Ray Smith.
Yeah. And
legendary.
And I did my research and found out that this guy, Ray Smith, was the top saxophone instructor in the nation. And so I submitted an audition tape, and they ended up paying for me to come out to school here, and that's how I ended up out in Utah. And Dr. Ray Smith continues to inspire me and change lives here in Utah. So my own daughter, I came out here to study with Ray, and my own daughter ended up studying with Ray right up until he retired.
Crazy, multi-generational.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How wild.
So, and that whole thing, for me, my father unfortunately lost his job while I was a freshman in high school and was unemployed my entire time through high school. But even without income and that stressful situation, my parents sacrificed whatever they had to keep me involved in music and be able to get me access to an instrument and to lessons and opportunities. And of course, that has impacted me in so many ways. And I know, David, I know you share that same appreciation for what music the changes that music can affect.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, here we are 27 years into the Soundhouse. We've had thousands of kids come through and play on the biggest stages in the world, Carnegie Hall, the Apollo Theater, festivals all over the world, so main stages in Cuba and China, and, this last summer.
And these are high school kids.
These are, and junior high and high school, ages 10 to 18 from all across the state of Utah. And it's amazing. Like you'll see, 12-year-old, 13-year-old kid get up in front of 10,000 people. Absolutely.
Where do you get that opportunity anywhere else?
Well, I don't think
I don't know. I don't think you can.
No.
That's amazing. I mean, I came from a performing family, and maybe you call it Nepo baby, but because of my dad's...
I didn't know your family was in the...
You're not old enough to know. I should have told you this years ago. But honestly, if it were not for that opportunity and the doors that my dad was able to open, I would never have had that chance. Now you're able to do the same thing for so many other kids exponentially through the Soundhouse program, which is unbelievable. To get on a stage to play for 10,000, you cannot replicate that anywhere else. Like that is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and then it perpetuates even maybe into a full career for so many kids, which is awesome. And then it butterfly effects into so many other things. You've got stories for days. But you started the Soundhouse 27 years ago. What was the genesis of that brainchild idea? Like, what was the spark that made you want to start this?
Well, again, I really have a passion, not so much for music. I do enjoy music, but what I'm passionate about, and I know you share the same passion, is how it so dramatically affects kids. And so the idea for Soundhouse came about because all of the music training that I'd gone through in life was that. It was music training. And so it was scales and notes and rhythms and chords, and that is all fantastic. But being a performing artist, there's two parts there. There's the artist part, which to me is the music and the creativity and all that, but then there's the performing part. And that piece of the puzzle tends to be left out of just about every music program I've come in contact with. And so, where I saw a need in a place where I felt like we could make a difference was to be able to add, to have a program that added performance training to the musicianship training.
That is invaluable. I mean, everybody can pick up a guitar. You can learn that on YouTube now. I mean, there's so many avenues to be able to learn instrumentation and musicality and everything. But to get a chance to get into a venue, a place where you can perform for that many people, to be seen, that is hard to come by. That's hard.
Well, and as a parent, you and I both have kids of similar ages, and we're rearing these kids at a time where they're attached to screens. I read an article the other week that they're for the average child today, there isn't an hour of their waking lives that goes by that they're not on some screen somewhere, So it's, not that they're on a screen constantly, but at least once every hour they're on a screen,
Right.
And so, watching this with my kids, I'm sure you've seen this with your kids, like we've got to figure out how to help our kids have the ability to, social skills and
to look up,
to be able to communicate. Yeah. To look up and all this stuff. And what we're seeing right now is an epidemic of mental health issues, emotional issues with these kids. Loneliness, suicide rates are skyrocketing. This is the loneliest generation in history, even though it's the most connected generation in the history of the world, And so to me, that is what makes this mission of getting kids trained as musicians and performers so important, because the confidence, and this, David, you started, you were dancing before you came out of the womb,
Yeah, my poor mom.
But I
don't know how the tap shoes got in there.
We were talking about how we've had some great kids come through the Soundhouse program. Our friends in Imagine Dragons. My own children, are experiencing great careers in music. But that isn't the majority of the kids that we've worked with. The majority of kids comes through. They could go on to be professional musicians, but most of them don't. But they credit this performance training as setting themselves up for excellence. So, so that's what Soundhouse is. It's using excellence in music performance to foster excellence in life performance. And I just can't think of anything better.
Dude, that is really cool to think about it that way. That not everybody's going to go on to have that record-breaking career in music and everything. But the foundation, if you ask an audience when you're performing, like, has anyone ever picked up a saxophone, a guitar, a bass? Everybody at some point has tried that or picked it up, and there's some kind of connectedness to this medium of music that is so hard to explain, and truly it's just life-changing for these kids. You got story after story of those kids that have come from impoverished places where they didn't have that opportunity, and you were able to create that for them. That's got to be so inspiring. It's got to be such a warm fuzzy for you, what the Soundhouse has created.
Absolutely. I mean, how many people get to first of all, love their job, which I absolutely do, but then have the opportunity to be involved with something that really makes an impact. That has some value to it. And I love that you just said, that Soundhouse is giving these kids access and opportunity that they, financially maybe wouldn't have had access to. And that, we've been doing this for 27 years, and I have not really ever been able to tell a kid no because they couldn't afford it. And so, up until recently, that just meant scholarshiping kids was just coming out of our own pocket, and music teachers' pockets aren't all that deep. So it's
a labor of love for so many.
Well, we really got to the point where we were majorly capped on the amount of kids that we could reach out to. And so thankfully we had some people reach out to us, some philanthropists a few years back, and said, you need to be able to help more kids get access to this. And we're going to help you get a 501c3 set up. And they delivered on their promise, and they delivered big. As a matter of fact, they came through this year with a $250,000 matching grant for music scholarships for our kids here in Utah, and through the Sound Support Foundation, our 501c3. And it's like you said, David, we've got kids right now today that are going to be taking the stage with us on shows throughout this year. We have a refugee from Ukraine, 12-year-old guitarist, just amazingly talented. Yeah. And there's no way they could afford any of this stuff. We've got and it's not just ethnic minorities that need help. There are so many kids that just don't have access to this, but this this opportunity absolutely sets them up to do anything that they want coming out of the chute after they've worked with us for a few years.
What's cool on top of this, and of course I'm obviously fanning on your program because I believe in it. I've seen it firsthand from behind the scenes, but beyond just the opportunity to get on stage and get a performance opportunity, you're performing with the best of the best. Like the caliber, the quality of what the kids are learning, they become working musicians if they want to be. These are the guys that Michael Bublé would call up. These are the guys that could go into the rock bands. Like you said, the Imagine Dragons came through this program, a lot of the members of that, and so many other bands that you do know. It is the high caliber of the musicianship that stands apart as well, not just
exactly
the opportunity to get on that cool stage.
Right. Well, the way we talk about it is, the musicianship skills are what gets you onto the stage, and your performance skills are what's going to keep you on the stage. You mentioned earlier that these kids are the most award-winning youth music program in the nation, and year after year after year after year. For example, the Crescent Super Band, which you've worked with in the past, they're
so good.
Downbeat Magazine has named them the top youth big band in the entire world, over and over and over and over again. And that competition annually, it's not a video competition. It's just audio. So they're getting judged as the best purely from what people are hearing. So you combine that with their stage performance, and that's why they're playing these massive shows all over the world. We were invited to be one of just a couple groups headline the 80th anniversary of D-Day in Normandy this past summer, and doing shows in Paris. Our groups,
cool opportunity.
Last year headlined the Puerto Vallarta World Jazz and World Music Festival, where they played for 10,000 people there. And it's like, and they earn that spot on that stage. When you and I were growing up, David, and I, being in a music family, I know, you're probably aware of things that people talk about, but I remember hearing like, you should do music, you should study music, you should put your kids in music because it helps them on their math scores and their science. And I always thought, that's kind of dumb. Like, as a kid, I'm not playing music because it helps my math scores. I'm playing music because it gets the girls. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, that's right.
Because, but
nothing sexier than a tuba.
That's right. Heavy metal, baby. So no, it's, I was playing music because it was so much fun to play music, and that always kind of turned me off a little bit that advocates for music education were talking about, well, you should do music because it makes you smarter. I think you should do music because it just makes you a better person. Like it changes your confidence, your ability to connect with others. It changes like your resilience, your creativity, all the skills that we need. Like we're coming into a generation of AI now where if you want to stay employed in anything, you better be able to bring something to the table other than, you can work a spreadsheet or like all those, anything that can be automated, it's going to be automated. So what are the skills, what are the soft skills that are going to be employable? It's going to be, the human resources, the ability to connect with people. It's going to be the ability to create and manage art and all those things,
That human ability to create an art piece that a computer might want to replicate. There's something about knowing this was done by the human hand, the human mind, the touch. There's something natural. And when you see one of the pieces, and I get a chance to do this from the stage, right there with you as we perform, to have a jazz piece, this song will never be performed the same way ever again. And have these kids go out and solo and shine in a moment. And I'm just blown away by that ability to just paint with music. It is so cool. And to get into those programs, I mean, just kudos to you. It's awesome. And it's changed the landscape of Utah. So many people know about this. They support it. And if you haven't, go check out Soundhouse because it is really fun to watch on YouTube and everywhere else. In the industry, I got asked a lot growing up my whole life. Someone they want to be a rock star. They want to be a musician. They want to be a pop star. Like, I want to just get into music. I want to get into theater. What do I do? How do I get into this? How do I start? And it seems like nowadays there's so much noise and congestion and hard to break through the fray. What would you say? What's your advice for someone who wants to break into music?
Well, I think my advice is the same advice that I got, when I was asking that question. It hasn't changed, even though, how the delivery of music has gone through in our lifetime, cassettes, CDs, vinyl, all the whole thing digital. But the answer to that question, in my opinion, still hasn't changed. And you already mentioned it. You said, for yourself, how many opportunities have you had in music because of your family connections? And it really is just, it's the same for any industry. I think but especially for the entertainment industry, it's putting yourself where the people are. It is who you know, because there is so much noise. It's a total network.
Friends.
It is. It's all, and so I just really think it's all about networking. Porter, our drummer for the Caleb Chapman Orchestra, my son, he's been touring all over North America this year, playing for stadiums full of people, opening for Imagine Dragons. Now, how did that happen? Well, he got called for the gig because he was recommended for it by the drummer from Imagine Dragons because he had connected with him.
Met through that program.
That's right. Yeah. And so it's like,
when you go to college and you're part of a fraternity, a sorority, like that network actually becomes the people you end up doing business with and
exactly
the rest of your life. It is about connection. You meet the same people on the way up as you do on the way down.
That's right.
And as you get involved in the best of the best programs, you learn from the best, and in osmosis, you grow together. And then who's going to call you for that gig when they need an amazing bass player? The one who knows you're an amazing bass player.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's, there's no shortage of amazing bass players in the world.
Yeah.
There just isn't. So there's a million people there's so many great songwriters that will never hear their music. There's so many, I'm convinced that the best the most talented technical musicians that ever lived, we don't know who they are, because they probably spent so much time on their craft that they weren't able to spend the time to network or to connect with their fans and things like that. So it's it's putting yourself in a place where you are part of that community. It's always saying yes to gigs when you can.
That's my thing. Is just don't turn anything down that you can get experience points. Get in front of an audience. Fail fast. Learn what doesn't work.
Oh, I love failing fast.
Yeah, that's time. Learn what doesn't work for you.
Right.
Learn how to read a room in an audience. And the only way you can do that is getting in front of an audience. And so that's where I think the Soundhouse has the secret sauce, where you are able to get these kids through the program. They learn the best. They're playing with the best, but then you get them in front of that audience. That is huge.
Well, and think about this. From your own experience, when it comes to, for you working up a show and you're working on your vocals, there's only so much you can do in the practice room. And then there's like the actual, like presenting it to an audience. Mm-hmm. Like you get good at that by presenting to an audience. Like there's stuff you can't practice and put under your belt. You have to be doing it to get it under your belt,
100%. Absolutely. So yeah. And I'm sure we've got stories for days of the good, the bad, and the ugly of those failing fast. But that's
the thing. When you fail fast, you get a lot more stories.
You also bond with the people you failed with. Those are the stories you laugh at, you look back at, and you learn from, and it makes you so much better. And that's so cool to watch these kids, and they are kids, the camaraderie, the fun they're having. It's just awesome, and I'm sure it keeps you youthful as well along the process. Now you're watching your kids go through it. It's got to be just proud dad.
Oh, very, very much so, very much so. It was funny the other week. My kids, as a dad, I had to decide between watching my son play at the Hollywood Bowl and my daughter play the national anthem for the Utah Jazz, like on the same night. I was like, this is a pretty good problem to have as a dad.
Totally.
So.
Yeah, when your schedule's just chock full, you got to turn gigs down. That's awesome. That's really cool. So, any last bit of advice for Soundhouse, and how can we support you more? Obviously, if you open your heart, your wallet, if you donate to this program, it gets matched by great donors, so you can actually give kids an opportunity to do that. Or you can come out to see performances. You can come see shows when you do this. A lot of these give backs. I know not too long ago you did with Huey Lewis. There was an awesome induction into
that's right.
Award that he was so well deserved for him, and then you gave the chance for the kids to play where he's in the room and play with so many other people. Where you've worked with so many people, and go down the Rolodex of everyone from Journey to Toto to Prince, and you name the artist, and you've had a chance to do it. Is there someone that's like the highlight, the dream in your life that you never would have visioned you'd have been able to perform with? And you're like, I can't believe this happened.
Well, like every day. I've been so lucky. There's so many people growing up. The first album I ever got was Journey Frontiers, and I thought, I was not a wealthy kid. I didn't imagine ever being able to even see Journey in concert. And last year for I got that album for my 10th birthday. For my 50th birthday, Steve Smith, the drummer on that album, sent me his actual gold album of Journey Frontiers to put on my wall.
What a trip.
Yeah, it's crazy, David. I've had too many stories, not enough time, but I'm incredibly blessed. The saxophonist that inspired me, David Sanborn, I got to perform with him at Carnegie Hall. My whole life is a pinch me kind of moment, And so, but that's the thing is, it's that same thing that's happened to me. These kids that in these programs, they get to do it all the time. Like you said, just a while back, they're on stage. They're playing Huey's music with Huey, sitting right there with them,
David Pace from Toto. He's right there playing with them.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you even know who this guy is? This is amazing, you guys. I'm excited for them, but I don't know if they're even as excited as I am.
Well, it used to bother me that I was like, do you know who you're playing with? But I realized that's actually a good thing, because they are just cool as cucumbers up there, and they're just like, it's like anything else, But so you asked how people can help, how they can be involved. First off, with the Sound Support Foundation, they can go to our website, soundsupport.org, and make a contribution there. It's impactful. We are very proud of the fact that because of our relationships, our operating costs are extremely low. So almost the entirety of every dollar goes right to music education programs through scholarships, through training for music educators, and workshops in our public schools. So that would be fantastic. And then, if you're a parent or you've got friends or neighbors that are aspiring musicians, I mean, this is what's so cool about Soundhouse is we have, almost 24 bands, and it's not that at Soundhouse we have one amazing group and then the rest are like, the farm team. We have, 20 professional bands across a wide range of styles. These groups are amazing.
A lot of talent, a lot of kids.
Yeah. And so people ask me, they're like, where do you find all these super talented kids? These prodigies. And the answer is we don't. They're not prodigies. They are normal kids that we challenge to do extraordinary things, and they rise to the occasion. We give them a reason to do it. That's the difference. We ask kids to do things that nobody else thinks they're capable of, and then there's a payoff when they do it. They deliver, and they get a reward for it. They are playing for 10,000 people. It's hard to get your kid to practice music when the payoff is them playing a recital for 13 parents who are in a rush to get out of there to get to something else. This is there has to be a reward for all the work. And that's, I think that's what Soundhouse does well.
And so nothing quite like standing in front of thousands of people, them cheering you on. There's a connectedness. It is the coolest experience. So I would second that. If you have kids that want to get involved in programs, this is the one to go to. Check it out, Soundhouse. And I thank you for sitting down with Caleb. I mean, it truly is an honor to have a band with you, to experience this with you, with our own big band, the Chapman Orchestra, the most creative name we could have come up with. But it is a dream come true. It's awesome because I love music. I love the medium of music, and then being able to now share the stage with so many of these great talent that are the next generation is fantastic.
I feel the same way. It's been, our friendship, is it's very unique because, like you said, there's all these experiences that we've had creating music. I mean, getting in the trenches of doing this stuff and all the stories that you end up having and, getting to travel around with you and everything. These relationships are ones that they last, for an eternity.
Music connects us all. It really does.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being on here, fresh off the set. Get my guest today again, Caleb Chapman with the Caleb Chapman Soundhouse. Really appreciate your time. Thanks again.
Thanks, David.
Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.